Hey everyone, welcome to this live show. This is the second attempt. There was a problem with the feed. For some reason, it wasn't working right, so I'm hoping that it's fixed now. So let's just check out, make sure that this feed is actually live because it didn't work and it was weird. Yep, this one's working. That's cool. So welcome everybody to this live show. Sorry for the late start. We're having a little technical difficulty. And let's post the link again. It seems that the first link didn't work. And we're just going to remove this old link. And we'll put the new link. For some reason, it just didn't want to start. I've been having these problems. So, when I take the summer break this summer, we're gonna try to fix that because it's obviously a problem, and it's kind of not cool. So let me just do some modifications here. So welcome everybody. Sorry, we're going to start in a few seconds, and hopefully, just gonna modify the links everywhere that I put them, and let's modify here. And in the description, I will modify the links to the different pages. There we go. So if hopefully it's going to work and everybody will be watching live. I'm from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. This is a show we have every Tuesdays at 3 p.m. And today we are at show number 35, where we answer your questions. You can send your questions at helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com. That's where it's all happening. And hopefully we won't have any more glitches for today. We also have a Learn to Tech show today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be talking about artificial intelligence. I've put up a little something about that, and I think it's going to be cool. So here the links are being changed everywhere. Sorry once again for anyone that wasn't viewing. So I see the spectators now. The counter was always at 0, so when I see the counter for the spectators stays at 0, I know there's something wrong with the feed. So here we go. We're going to do another one here. I'm just going to change on my personal page the links. So let's just remove this. Let's just remove this. And now we are almost ready to start. Here we go. Welcome everyone to Tech Show number 35. Sorry for the lateness of the appearance over here, and I'm receiving your emails that the link isn't working, and so now this new link will work. So sorry guys about this. Hope that now everybody's joined in via the video feed. So we have lots of questions today, and these questions will be, of course, of PCs and anything. You don't have. It's not just a PC show here. It's a show about anything. It's a show about. I'm going to say like Seinfeld. It's a show about nothing. So welcome everyone, and we are going to start answering your questions now. So if you like my shows, if I help you in any way, why not think of a PayPal donation at the email address that you see here, the Yahoo email address. Keeps the show on the air, helps us buy new equipment, make things better, and makes me continue offering live content. And with these problems of the feeds and everything that I get constantly and quite regularly, frankly, from the Hangouts, I really have to think of how we can send the feed from somewhere else. So I'm thinking of different options, and I think we will probably starting when I come back from summer break in September. We'll probably be streaming this from somewhere else. There's going to be a saved version on YouTube for those that miss out the show, but we're going to find a different way of doing the show so that it's more constant and that it works better. So hope that you are joining us and having fun with our show. So a certain number of questions I'll read today. We're going to start off with the Windows 10 upgrade, questions from Windows 10 upgrades. First, we have Vince that sent me a email saying, I love your shows, have been learning a lot since I subscribed, signed up for Windows 10 upgrade 18 days ago. Now, that was like last week, so he's like at 25 days now. Seems like a long time to wait for this upgrade. Please help me understand if this is normal or do I have a problem? Thank you. So Vince, it is long. You should not have waited that much. Now, there are different things that can make you wait. First of all, if the files were not on your computer yet, and they have to download to your computer before the upgrade can start. And in some cases, that download doesn't work well. So if you still don't have nothing happening, I would suggest that you go to the Windows 10 to the page to get the media creation tool from Microsoft. So just Google media creation tool and you'll see this link. The page needs to look like the one you're going to see here. This is the Windows 10 official page. And you know what? Go down and download tool now. With that tool, you'll have an upgrade button right there. Click the upgrade button and see if you can upgrade from there. If you don't have it, you can also download, create a USB thumb drive or a DVD and install from there and upgrade your system. It's possible that your upgrade is stuck. Now, one of the things that fixes that also is apparently some people have been fixing that by removing the folder that contains the files from the Windows 10 download. But use the media creation tool. You know, on some computers like my Toshiba here, didn't work. I had to use the media creation tool to install Windows 10 correctly. Out of 5 computers that I've used, that I've upgraded actually, 2 were upgraded using the media creation tool, and 3 were upgraded by the natural path of upgrade from the icon. So if you still don't have an upgrade from here, and just search for Windows 10, the media creation tool, and it should work hopefully for you. There's a small number of people that actually report that even though they clicked, I want to upgrade, it didn't work. So sorry, I'm just a little trying to everybody's sending me emails saying, hey, feed doesn't work. So now it should eventually work. So you know, different people have some problems, and for some that link that you click to upgrade to Windows 10 doesn't work. So using the media creation tool will be the best thing you can do to force it basically on your computer. Another message here from our friend, we have Robert Down. Robert Down says that he's trying to upgrade to Windows 10, but he's getting an error message as the upgrade seems to be starting. And then it restarts the computer and he's back into his Windows 7 operating system. He says that it says in the when he clicks the icon, it says you're good to go, everything's all right. Why can't I upgrade and what should I do? Same thing. I think the best for you if you have an error message is because from the internal Windows side, it doesn't seem to want to work. Get yourself the media creation tool like I just shown. and upgrade from the media creation tool. There's a good chance it's going to work. On some computers, you might need to upgrade from outside of your computer, meaning you'll have to do that USB thumb drive and boot from it to upgrade your machine. Some machines are kind of stubborn on that. So hopefully I answered your question a little bit here. And somebody else, the third question I got concerning upgrades comes from Charles. Charles says, love your show, love your videos. Now, I wanted to upgrade to Windows 10 for a long time. Problem is I'm not getting any icon, no pop-up of you could upgrade to Windows 10. Why? That is not necessarily because of a problem. If you're not getting the upgrade and the pop-up that says you can upgrade, it is because if your Windows updates are working correctly, every month you get your security updates and all of that, the problem comes from the fact that your computer might not be compatible with Windows 10. So that is a possibility. People that don't get any pop-up, any information, but they do still get the upgrades, that means that your computer might not be compatible at all. If you want to try it, if you don't mind reinstalling your Windows 7, what you could do is get that media creation tool and force upgrade and see if it works. And if it does, cool. If it doesn't, you'll go back to Windows 7 and reinstall. But you know, it's a hassle. You got to reinstall Windows 7. You got to be ready that you might need to reinstall completely from scratch. But you can force it and see if it works or not. But there's a chance that it just isn't compatible, and that's why you're not getting that upgrade icon. Lots of computers with Windows 7 are not compatible with Windows 10. So there is a certain number of Windows 7 users that will never get the pop-up upgrade for Windows 10. So that's something you got to understand also. But you know, if you just want to try it out and play a little bit around, force upgrade and see if it works. Okay, next question, startup questions. We've got a few startup questions. One from Douglas Elliott. Douglas says, Aijel, my AVG antivirus is the last thing to start up. When I switch on my PC, I would prefer to move it up in the startup order. Is this easy to do? Doug in the UK. Oh, here's the thing. First of all, you got to be careful about the order of boot, because sometimes the antivirus is so long to boot that it's not necessarily that it's the last thing to boot. It's just that it takes a lot of time to be there. And it's by the nature, an antivirus software is a big piece of software that does a lot of things on your PC. So it does take a lot of time to boot compared to a lot of the other process. You know, if you look at your taskbar at the bottom right and you see the order of things appearing, usually it often is more of a speed due to the size of the item than to the fact that they are booting in that certain order. The reason also why your antivirus is often not the first to boot is because while the antivirus isn't booted up, it will prevent everything else from booting. And that could cause a problem. Now, yeah, it's not easy to change the order of boot up of software, honestly. But there's one tool that you can use, and it's I just got to remember the name here. It's a free tool called Wind Patrol Explorer. Wind Patrol Explorer is something that Wind Patrol, oh, it's on a page called windpatrol.com. Now, when you get to this page, you'll get, is it here, a hamburger menu. It's dreadfully difficult to find. Okay, consumer products. So there's a hamburger menu here. Let me check that. Consumer products. Now, you'll get one on the list that says Wind Patrol. Now, don't look at $29.95 because you can get it for free. It will download for free. And the $29.95, so you got a download button here. The $29.95 is only for the Pro version. So if you don't buy it, you still have a working Wind Patrol, but just half of the options are working. In that Wind Patrol software, you've got a option that's called Startup Programs. And from the Startup Programs, you have the possibility to add it to something called Delayed Start. And so you can delay everything and have them start at a specific order on your computer. But you know what? I wouldn't play much with that personally. The other way is going to play in the registry and stuff like that. It's not worth the trouble. And maybe the reason why you want to have it first is for increased security, maybe checking out some of the startup stuff, but ultimately, don't worry too much about that and about changing anything in the startup order. And I think it's better just leave it like it is. It doesn't change really anything, basically. Other things that we have Danielle that says, I've got slow startup, and I've a friend of mine that tried a command called msconfig, and it didn't work on Windows 10. It said that it wanted to go to the task manager, and my friend said, well, it's not there, that you change that. He says that by using msconfig, you wanted to simply stop some of the programs from starting from my computer when it starts up, just to that slows it down. Is there a way to import msconfig in my Windows 10 computer? He was thinking of using msconfig from Windows 7. Thanks for your answer. Well, you don't need msconfig. Msconfig is the Microsoft configuration. And yes, in Windows 7, in Windows XP, in Windows Vista, in Windows 98, we would have msconfig command and click the Startup tab to see what starts up with your computer. The reason why msconfig wants to send you to the task manager in Windows 10, like in Windows 8, it's simply because that's where it is now. So right-click at the bottom on the taskbar of your computer and go into Task Manager. In the Task Manager, you'll simply go at the top into Startup. And basically, you'll see all the things that start up with your computer. What you want to do is remove as many as possible from this list by disabling them. Technically, most software can be disabled and it won't change anything. So you can just click a piece of software, click the disable button at the bottom right, and you also have the impact of each startup item, high, low, or medium. And so disable, everything you want. The logical way of doing it, though, is usually to disable one at a time, just to make sure you're not causing any problems in your computer, and restart your computer. But every time, everything that's in here you can disable, and it will be one less program that will want to start up with your computer. It often has an impact on the startup speed of Windows, so you can try that. And no msconfig required in Windows 10 because you have basically, they changed that in Windows 8, and msconfig is a command that doesn't exist anymore. And last, we have Paul. So Paul says that he's been viewing my Tuesday show every week for the past 7 weeks. Enjoys it a lot. Been learning a lot of stuff. Questions that people are asking are great. My question, so Paul's question is, when I turn on my laptop computer, I now have to press sometimes up to 10 times on the power button for it to start up. Do you know what could be a problem? Yeah, it's probably the power button itself. Power button has, like a little switch underneath. And on many computers, that wears out. So in your model that you have, I don't know what computer you have, that probably is wearing out. What I would suggest is that you have it, if have a tech guy take a look at it. Maybe you can fix the button, just change the button or something, or maybe just clean contacts. Sometimes what's happening in a laptop, laptops are cheap today, and the plastic mold means that everything's moving when you're using it. And at some point, and that happened to me on a Dell machine that I have here, the button itself moved away slightly from the switch underneath. So when I would press the button, I'd be pressing outside of the switch, not on the switch. So by basically opening it up and just putting a little piece of plastic, I was able to just, even though the button was slightly off, kind of extend the pressure of the button so that it still presses on the switch itself. It could be bad contact. It could be that just needs to be cleaned. It could be a bad switch also. If the switch itself is difficult to change, maybe there are alternatives. I would, like on the Dell here, if it would have stopped working, I would have found some other type of switch, even though it would be kind of a little more of an external thing, and have it work because it's less complex to do that. But have it checked out, because one day you're going to press 100 times and it just won't start. But it's pretty much always the switch when that happens. You're watching the live tech show from Montreal, Canada, and we had a little start here, a little late start. And so as Tim Robinson is saying, the issue about program startup order, says this is very complex and causes a whole lot of problems. It is possible, but some programs can only start up at boot once other programs it relies on are working. That is, a startup is a very unique moment in your computer. You got to remember that another one of the reasons that your antivirus might want to start last is that it might be using Windows processes that need to be loaded before it starts also. So if the Windows processes aren't there, it's just not loading. So it needs to wait for that. So that's possible. I wouldn't touch anything on that for sure. Questions coming from. So this is going to have an answer to Stephen Mail that has a problem with his computer that in Windows 10 has blue screens. In Windows 8.1 runs better, but it still crashes and crashes even on 8.1, but not as often. So thing is, what's gonna happen here is that we're going to talk about changing parts, and I'm going to include Stephen Mail's question about what I think should be done with his computer that has problems. Now, Steve, it's really just a hunch on my side. I'm just going to get I forgot to bring it just over here, but I've got several questions. Stephen Mail, I'm going to answer in this batch. Stephen Mail, I'm going to answer in this batch also Christopher and also George. So basically all asking, or we're going to talk about a little bit changing parts on the laptop. So I'm going to get a laptop here because that's the best way that I'll be able to show everybody how to fix or change things. Now, on a lot of laptops, there are a certain number of parts that are easy to actually change. So first, Stephen mailed, because he's the first email in the list, talking about his Windows machine that has blue screens all the time. Now, you say that in most of the posts that I remember from you, you've talked about the memory management that is always blue screen of death. You know what? I think, and that's a hunch, and I'm pretty sure it's probably that. Of course, it could be something else, so I have to advise you that if you want to try it, it's probably that, but there's a possibility it could be a motherboard or something else. But here's the thing. I think your problem is RAM. And RAM is a problem. If one of the RAM modules are basically bad, what happens is that the computer can start up, but because in the RAM module, the bits can change or something can go wrong, it will crash your computer from time to time. Now, on a laptop computer, there are several little doors at the bottom. Here, for example, there's a big central door here with a screw. And this is where the RAM modules are located. It's extremely easy to change RAM modules on most laptops. And I would say that the skills needed to change it yourself is so the skills are so minimal that you can probably do this by yourself without any problem. Or else you can go to a computer tech store and have it checked or replaced. But you can just unscrew. Usually the RAM modules in laptops are by pair, so there's 2 RAM modules. What you could do is, purchase the same type of RAM module and change them. And I would bet that on that computer, your blue screens are going to go away because of that. If you have more than one computer and and you have another one that's pretty much the same of the same power, then it is possible that there are RAM modules that are compatible in between 2 laptops you got. So you can just change the RAM modules from one machine to the other and check out if it works. No worry, if the RAM modules are not of the good type, there's a little dent in the RAM module. You won't be able to insert it in the slot of the laptop if it's not the same type of memory. But I can bet you that RAM is the culprit on your computer. And there's an access door at the bottom. Some have little access door for different parts. Some have a big access door for everything. This one is an access door for RAM, for the Wi-Fi card. And I've got a different access door for the hard drive on this machine also. So, in general, it's easy to change. I would check that. And, it might be, if it's working, not too old, it might be worth it to just have it check by a computer store. The other question, changing hard drive in a laptop. Very easy once again. On this computer, the laptop's hard drive is located right here. Once again, a little screw, you remove. The hard drive itself is in a little enclosure. So you just remove the screws of the enclosure, put the new hard drive in it, screw it back in the enclosure, put it back in here, put this. It's a super simple job, once again, to change a hard drive in a laptop. There are a few models, not a lot. There are a few models that are just damn stupid, and they require you to actually remove keyboards and it's just darn difficult. But 95% of laptops, changing RAM, changing hard drives is super easy, and it's done underneath by the little doors that you see here. So don't be afraid to check it out, because it's surprisingly easy. And I would say that that's something that people sometimes call upon me, and when I look at what they do in life, it's like, nah, you could have done that yourself. And of course, if you change your hard drive, 2 options are possible. You clean install using a thumb drive or a DVD or whatever. Another thing you can do is clone the drive. With that, you'll need an external enclosure to plug on the USB ports. You plug the old drive and you use a disk cloning utility so that the drive is cloned on the new drive, for example. I always choose the clean install because that's what I like. You know, you start from scratch. You start your computer with the basics of Windows, and it's much faster. And finally, changing a keyboard on your Toshiba machine. On Toshibas, not always, but very often, and I'd say more than half of the Toshibas I've seen, there's a little thing here, and I can remove it here. If I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a plastic thing on the top of the keyboard. You see here, I'm removing that strip, and I've got it right there. Underneath, 2 screws that hold the keyboard in place. Remove the screws, remove the keyboard, detach the cable. To replace that keyboard, it's very easy. What's the most complicated in this will be to get yourself just the same keyboard, exactly same keyboard. So you can have it ordered by a computer store, but you can also check it. You know, I check on eBay every time. This keyboard, this is my insider machine. And this machine is a machine that broke from a client of mine. And we needed to change a hard drive, and plus the RAM was defective. So client decided, look, you know what? Too expensive. I don't want to put the money to fix it. I'm going to buy a new one. And she gave me this one. And I used parts that I had here lying around, you know, an old hard drive and some RAM modules that were from another laptop. And it works fine. This is my main insider machine. But the keyboard was bad also because she had spilled wine on it. And so half of the keys weren't working. So that's what I did. I removed the little strip here, and I simply removed the keyboard and changed it with another one. And I bought it on eBay. I bought the keyboard on eBay. I think it cost me, shipping included, something like $30. So it was not expensive. But you do need a keyboard for your exact model, because if you notice, all Toshibas are not the same. There's differences. The casing are not exactly the same, and so on. So the keyboard needs to be for your specific model. So you can go on eBay and say, oh, I want a keyboard for a Toshiba A60 laptop, and check out your specific model for that, and you'll get what you need. So, but it's super easy to fix and change parts in laptops. It's just so amazing, so amazing, for sure. There is a yeah, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. Tim Pritchard is talking about a wireless keyboard connected to the PC that has a power switch. And so, yes, it is true that some but if your computer is compliant, there are possibilities, but that some keyboards can trigger an on-off. You know, what you could do also is make your computer go to sleep instead of shut down, and that would wake up with a wireless keyboard connected that has an on-off switch for the sleep mode. You know, these are possibilities. Thanks for that. And Tim Robinson saying, if Steven's problem is his laptop RAM, I think my wife has some ISODIMMs DDR2 that she took from a previous laptop that are going to spare. She is out at the moment. We'll ask when she arrives. But you know, I don't know. I would guess that Steve's computer is probably more in the, because it came with Windows 8.1, which tends me to think it's probably more DDR3 RAM. And by the way, for the RAM, it's very easy when you want to find the same RAM. Look on the module. On the module, you'll have information. So it's going to say something like PC3 6400. So PC3 6400. That means it's DDR3 or PC3 RAM. And 6400 is the speed of the RAM. And when you are, by the way, a little trick, because a lot of people don't know that, say you've got DDR3 6400 speed, okay? You go to the store, they don't have 6400, but they got DDR3 7600 or whatever, 7200. That, as long as it's DDR3, the notch is always at the same place. So that means if you have DDR3 RAM, you can buy higher speed RAM as long as it's the same model. So as long as it's DDR3, for example, and it's going to work. It's just that it's not going to go at the maximum speed it can, but it will be compatible. So that's something that you can check for. Sometimes even the speedier RAM is sometimes a little less expensive also. So it's pretty surprising. So hope we answered some of the questions here with the laptop parts, to change some of those. It's pretty easy in general to do so on many laptops. I mean, I would think that it's very surprising how a lot of people could change some of the parts on their laptops by themselves without the help of any tech guy. So cheers, guys. This is kind of a homemade sangria because it's summer in Montreal. Okay, we'll go a little more into details now, considering. Okay, and one question that I want to answer also for Stephen Mail, because he's talking about Linux Mint. He says a couple of months ago downloaded this ISO file to a backup USB drive. I was going to use this as on one of my computers, but did not get around to it. Is there any way to run the distro from a blank USB? If this is possible, what would be the steps to take? What you need to get is something called pen drive Linux. So what you do, here we go, pen drive Linux. You get to this website, Steve. On this website, pendrivelinux.com, you will download the universal USB installer. When you do so, and we're going to download it, so we're going to actually be able to check it out. So here goes. So don't click that big download now. That's what I hate about these websites. Don't click the big download, green download button. That's not it at all. Go down the page and you'll see a download UUI. That's what you want to download. I hate these websites that do this. This is almost dishonest. I'm sorry. Come on. You want to go to the downwards page where you see download UUI. This is a Linux bootable thumb drive creator. So it's good for every version of Linux that you can basically think about. So what you do is you choose your Linux distro in a list. So here you'll have Linux Mint 3264 in the list. And it's good for almost every distro. Then you'll have browse to go and get that image file from the Linux distro you have. And finally here at the bottom, you should see your thumb drive, your USB flash drive. Once all of that is chosen, you click Create at the bottom. That will create a bootable thumb drive. And you can boot from it and run Linux Mint without having to change anything in your computer. You can actually work with it. You can do whatever you want. It's a great way to kind of learn a little more about how Linux works. Get the hang of Linux Mint. See if it's the kind of distro you like. And basically, once you're shutting off from that Linux, you just remove the thumb drive, restart your computer, you're back in Windows. Nothing was changed. And it's a great way to try Linux distros. Now, if you have a very recent computer to try it on, one of the things I need to stress out, you might need to remove or to turn off Secure Boot from your laptop. Some laptops with Secure Boot will not boot from a USB thumb drive with Linux on it. So that's something you need to know. But remember this, pen drive Linux, don't click that green download ever. Just go down the page to the blue download UUI, Universal USB Installer. That's how you're going to create your distro. And you'll be able to run Linux Mint. So I hope I've answered several of your questions here. And and Stephen Mill saying that he loves Windows 10 a lot more. So that's cool. You know, you weren't. It's fun to see your conversion there, where you loved Windows 8.1 and you kind of were not sure of Windows 10, mainly because you had problems on that other machine, and now you really love Windows 10. So it's pretty cool. That I think that's nice. So that's nice to know. You know that you can actually. You can actually like something even though at the start it wasn't so cool. Okay, a little more information here about hacked websites and so on. So first, Mary Ellen Parker talking about the news from Monday of the hacked accounts. And she's talking about the Windows 10 app called Hacked that was debuted on the store on Saturday. So that app actually uses the site Have I Been Pawned? And for those that don't know what that site is, here it is. Have I Been Pawned? And of course, the legitimate question, and it's actually, I like the fact that you asked me that question because it means that you already are on your guards. You're already thinking, wait a minute, this could be dangerous. How can I really know this is not dangerous at all? You know what? We have to rely on the fact that Have I Been Pawned is a site that's been around for a long time and that it is pretty much legitimate. And I've talked about this website on a video. And I've talked about this website because at least I know that it's safe. But you know what? That's the thing. This, you cannot, unless somebody knowledgeable tells you, yeah, go ahead. And I mean, knowledgeable is not your best friend. It's, maybe a tech guy or somebody that's been around and knows all the do's and don'ts of the internet. If you, on your own, you had a great response here, because if on your own you're like, wait a minute, ain't I giving my details here and I'll be hacked or something? Now here's the thing, have I been pawned? Even if it would be a bad site, can't do anything because it asks you for your username or an email address, but it doesn't ask you for a password or anything. So say that you want to try, and I'm going to try it here, email address. Here we go, hotmail.com. And I say pawned, and it says, oh no, pawned, because there was one breach site and it found no pastes. So that means this email that I've been using for ages has found its way somewhere on a website that was hacked. And that means this email, if I didn't have two-factor authentication, if I didn't if I didn't change my password regularly, including the last time that the email, the Hotmail hack, it means somebody could have took this email and probably hacked into my account and done whatever he wants with it. But you notice all I did was enter an email. So there's nothing they can do about it. You're just giving them an email. At the worst, they're going to send you spam. At the worst. So if this website would have asked me, oh, give me your email and your password, now that you never do. You never give your password to nobody else. So, let's just check here if I breach site. Where, I don't know if it says anything here. Okay, a breach is an incident where a hacker illegally obtains data from systems. Yeah. So, my emails got breached somewhere. But it doesn't mean that he got necessarily all he found. You see, my email was reported as appearing in a paste, but the paste is now can be found. So probably, it appeared at some point as a breach somewhere. I'm going to try another one of my emails. Let's try this one. And check out, have I been pawned? So on this one, yep, another email pawned. So you see that, most of the emails that I used. Let's try my Yahoo email. Pawned. You see, all of these are pawned. It means all of these appeared somewhere at some point. And that's why, now first, you got to know, it's pawned, but here's the thing. No pastes. It means this email might have been on a list, but it might not include a password and stuff like that. It might not include the information required. That's why I always stress out. Every email address I got are all two-factor authentication. Okay? Somebody tries to get in here, knows my password, I'll get a code on my phone. So even if you got the password, you can't get in because two-factor authentication is great for that. So that's why everybody should have some. But still, you know what? Unless a good source, somebody that's really, really important, knows what he's talking about. Yes, it's true. You should not, and you should fear any website like this that will tell you, hey, let's check out if you've been breached, because it's a great way to get hacked. So you know what? They are safe, and the app that appeared in the Windows 10 store, let's go check that out in the Windows 10 store here. I don't know if I haven't checked it officially. So here, hacked. Yep, here it is, hacked. Here it is. This is hacked by Lanslow Software. And this is regarding what hack could have happened. Now, I think, you know what? As long as you don't know or nobody told you that it's safe or not, I know that this app is actually the official app that goes with the website that I've just shown you, Are You Pawned? So it's probably is safe. But, stay safe by just doing what you want. You're saying sometimes you want to know this kind of information about your accounts, but are wary if these types of apps or websites are legitimate. You know, one of the best things about knowing or not about, and is simply be careful and put two-factor authentication on everything. And you know what? It won't matter that much to know that information from here. Two-factor authentication becomes so secure that it doesn't matter. You know, look at the emails. All of these emails are always, you know what, are kind of in the air everywhere on the internet. I am a guy that does things publicly. You know, I make these videos, everybody's watching them. So I'm a kind of a public figure in a sense. So all my emails are all everywhere. So, you know, I'm not scared. I've got two-factor authentication. I'm safe. I'm okay. And instead of, I would say, yeah, you can check out, but instead of worrying about checking out if I've been hacked or not, reverse engineer it. Say instead, okay, this guy told me a great password, two-factor authentication, so if somebody wants to get in my account, I get a secret code that nobody else has. You're really worried? It's not necessarily a bad idea to change your password every few months. If you want to do so, it's even more secure because if they get hacked somehow, your password changes all the time anyway. You know, two-factor authentication. If you're really worried, change your passwords every 2-3 months. You're going to be okay. There's not going to be any problems there. And you know, as of yet, there's no way to go around two-factor authentication. You have to go through that step and you know, stay safe. And what a great question, because what's really cool about this is it's showing me that you are acting correctly just by saying, hey, what tells me that this is good or not? And with that type of you know, query, I think it means you're already safe, because every time you're going to go face something like that, you know, you're just going to say no. I'd rather not try. You know, that one is okay, I know, but honestly, any other one that would say, hey, am I hacked or something, I wouldn't dare go anywhere there, because who knows? It is totally possible that it's you know, that it's bad. Another question that I have, you know, it's important to talk about this because it's our security, and our security is important to keep. That's for sure. So by avoiding entering our emails or doing stuff everywhere, it's better. You know, it's better to just be safe. We have Frank, regular contributor, says hi. Question: I've seen your news bulletin about MySpace being hacked, and I do have a MySpace page because I am a little musician here where I live, and thought that I'd be fun to put some of my own music. So he says, the question that comes to mind is hacking worse than it was before? Because he says it seems that every week now we hear about some hacking of a website or not. I would say that hacking is probably not worse than it was before. It's just that now it's touching companies that have a very large audience. because hacked websites and hacked services, I'm not sure it's any worse. But lately it's been the big guns. So we've heard about that Outlook, Hotmail, Yahoo, and so on, Gmail. That turned out to be in the majority probably false. Like that pond. When I checked my emails in the pond, or in my pond, you know what? That could be simply because my emails were in that list, but the information was not correct. And so, I don't think it's necessarily worse. What's making it look worse is the fact that it touches such big companies that it basically is visible now. Everybody's heard about it because of that. And you've got a second question, which is what the tools that the hackers used to actually get the information. You know what? There are several ways that the hackers will go into a website and be able to get information. One is going through the different logins available there and trying out stupid, easy passwords. And I would say that a lot of the hacks that have happened is because somebody somewhere had a stupid password like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The second way that they get information is with a flaw in the website's API itself. So, websites will be created using specific tools and will be created also using specific, technologies that sometimes have flaws. And some websites are bad with fixing things sometimes. MySpace admitted that it's their fault. They admitted that they actually didn't do all that was necessary for the security to be okay. Personally, a company that tells me that, we should all just close our MySpace account and just forget it. You're gone. You don't care about my security. I shouldn't care about using your services. And of course, the last and one of the popular ways lately, it's called social engineering. Social engineering is I call up, say, let's say I call up someone at, like that guy, that kid in the UK. Call up someone at the FBI, and I say that, I went to the website, I looked the real name of somebody in the IT department, and say, okay, hey, I'm John ABC from the IT department. I need to have access to the intranet, but I forgot my password. So the guy at the other end is going to say, okay, well, what's your, work ID? Now he's going to say, look, I have not been working there for a very long time, and I forgot, I don't have my badge, so I don't have my work ID, I don't have my card, and I'm really, really, kind of messed up here because I'm, new and I forgot everything, and I'm afraid, somebody's going to get mad at me, and So what happens is that the person at the other end has a real name and kind of starts feeling sorry. Oh, yeah, he's a newbie, and I understand. I've been there. It could be embarrassing, to have to say, oh, I lost my card, or I forgot my password. So that guy's going to say, well, okay, here you go. Here's the temporary password that I'm going to give you so that you can access the internet. And starting from there, all hell breaks loose. The FBI and Homeland Security list of employees and their all the personal details that was put online. It's a kid in the UK. He's like 16 or 17 years old. and he did it like that, and he got access to everything. So, you know, different ways, and that tells you one thing, is that in a work environment like that, you should simply say, sorry, no ID, no password, I got nothing I can do for you. You'll have to show up and ask for it. And of course, give clear ID that you are who you are. Okay, we've got another question here, several questions. This one coming from Eric. Eric is in Saskatchewan, Canada. Says, hello from a fellow Canadian. Love your shows. I've been really enjoying the videos. I've upgraded all my machines to Windows 10 and am looking forward for all the new videos on your new Windows 10 channel. I think it's a great idea. Keep up the good work. Really is amazing to have such help from somebody on YouTube. The questions that Eric have is, friend told him if he boosts his Windows machines from 8 to 16 gigabytes, computer is going to run faster. He says, I basically do mostly word processing, a little bit of gaming, but very, very minimal. Most of my usage on my computer is word processing, emails, internet, and watching videos. I don't really do much more than that. What do you think? I think you should stick with 8 gigabytes because basically there are very few occasions where moving to 16 gigabytes does actually have any effect. On most machines with 8 gigabytes, especially with what you're saying, I don't see any problems, and I don't even see for a near future why you should go to 16 gigabytes. I've got 8 on this machine that, you know, I use every day. I do the videos. I make the live show. So basically, you know, when I look at my usage of the RAM, my 8 gigs of RAM that's on this machine, I don't see why I should upgrade. It's never more than 50 or 60% used. So it is useless. And even, you know what, when your computer isn't used that much, I've seen a few stats that seems to say that computers that have 16 gigabytes or more of RAM actually slow down because of the increased management that the computer has of all that memory. So, you know, stick with 8. And anyone that doesn't do much with their computer and got 8, you don't need more than 8. If somebody tells you so, you're like, yeah. Other question that comes to mind is, so the second question that you got, it says, computer tech told me hard drive is about to fail, but it goes well. So that's on a Dell computer that you've got. You say that the tech guy, brought it in to just have a cleanup, and he said the hard drive's about to fail. How can he know if my hard drive's about to fail, but my computer seems to be running real fine? Okay, several ways that he could have seen it. There's in a lot of Dell computers an internal diagnostics that you can run. Maybe the diagnostic said, hey, you know, the hard drive's failing. Maybe it's not turned on, but you're smart on the hard drive. The smart is there to and is saying, look, I'm having a high number of errors. I'm probably going to fail soon. So these are the possibilities. Apart from that, you know, maybe you ran a software or something. Maybe you just looked at your Dell computer and said, oh, wow, the hard drive is 3.5 years old. I think we'd better change it. It's old. Whatever is said, it could be possible. But you know what? I would back up everything regularly. And you say it's running fine. Keep it running until it drops. You know, and if the hard drive fails suddenly, then you get it fixed or you change it. or maybe you've seen what I told earlier, it's easy to change it ourselves. So, if it's running fine, the only thing, make sure you got a backup. Everybody should have a backup regularly of everything they have anyways. But make sure you got a backup, and if it fails, it fails. I've seen hard drives that fail. I see hard drives that are about to fail or close to failing. Hey, that insider machine that I'm actually using, it's a hard drive that Smart. I had to turn off Smart because it don't want to boot because the laptop says, "Hey, hard drive's bad." And that hard drive's been running for 2 years with the Smart giving error, saying, "Hey, I'm not going well," and it works fine. It gives you an idea that you can't necessarily, sometimes there could be error messages, but you can't necessarily always know exactly. Yeah, it's going bad. So Tim Robinson saying, we're talking about RAM a little earlier. Says, I know I need more RAM, but I can game modern titles, and I only have 4 gigabytes of DDR3 and keep 60 frames per second. Like Tim, would probably be a good idea to move to 8 gigabytes. But I would bet that Tim at 8 gigabytes would say, "Hey, I don't need more. It's great." So, RAM is underestimated when you don't have a lot of it. Say 2 gigs, 1 gig. Yeah, you need more than 2. Starting at 4, you know what? I've got 8 here. This computer, I believe, has 4. Let's just check that here. Let's go into the task manager. How many gigabytes this machine has? Performance. So if we look at memory, yeah, we've got 4 gigs here. And this machine's running actually really well. And you see at 4 gigs, I'm not using that much. So basically, on this machine, especially since I'm mostly using it for standard stuff and a little bit of very low light, low, I would say light gaming, because I play games like Day of the Tentacle or stuff like that. So gives you an idea that it's not necessarily. And last thing that he has as a comment, our friend here, he says, I had a tech guy come over about a month and a half ago, and I was still running Windows 8.1 on one of my computers. So I asked him if he wanted to help me upgrade to Windows 10. I thought, the tech guy's here, why not? He said, "Oh, you shouldn't. Windows 10 is bad." What do you think about that? I have Windows 10 now on every computer, and I really find it cool. Is it really a bad operating system? Thanks for your answers. It's actually a great operating system, and Windows 10 is actually really, really cool. But you know what? Several reasons why. Some tech guys are really stubborn. You know what? As being a tech guy and having seen a lot of tech guys around me, I'm gonna say out loud, really, I don't like the tech guy community. Honestly, I don't. I don't, because I'm a very different tech guy from the regular tech guy. I'm not the tech guy that wants to sell you stuff for nothing. That's why my clients love me a lot. And a lot of my clients that had other tech guys before, when they found me, they're like, "Oh man, I should have found you first, not the other one." And that's because of the way I do things. I'm not the tech guy that wants you to spend $1 million. I'll be really honest. If you have a junk computer and you're like, "Hey, I want to add RAM and a new hard drive," I'm going to say out loud, "You're wasting your money. Keep it for another machine." Thing is, tech guys, we all have our ideas, and tech guys, some tech guys are just stubborn. They're like, Windows 7 is great, and I don't like that new tile stuff. And it's like, hey, you know what? As a tech guy, the first thing that you need to, I believe, do is embrace new technology and look at it and just, say, hey, wow, that Windows 10, that new tile system, and that new start menu. It's like, that's me. I'm at like, wow, that new start menu. And this, the first time I install Windows 10, it's like, wow, this is cool. This is so different. I want to see everything in here. I'm the type of tech guy that's like that. So a lot of tech guys are kind of stubborn on the way they think about things. I don't like the approach of some tech guys that will say, oh, you're using Internet Explorer. No. You have to use Chrome. No, or you got to use Firefox. I'm more of the tech guy that's going to say, okay, you're using Internet Explorer, so it's okay. I don't care. I don't care. It's working for you. I don't care. Use whatever you want. That's the kind of guy that I am as a tech guy. And the other last thing, you know what? Probably he didn't want to take the time to help you to install Windows 10, probably. And you know what? You got to be careful. Most tech guys don't have certifications or anything. So what happens is tech guys are knowledgeable. You'll have a tech guy knowledgeable in certain things, but when you get to, say, Windows 10, oh, they don't know about it. I'm the tech guy that knows about Windows 10 6 months or a year before everybody else. So when I get to the computer of that client, they look at me, it's like, wow, you know how to go around Windows 10. Yeah, because I've used it for a long time now. Tech guys, I got to say, anyone out there that's watching this show, if you want to find a tech guy, be extremely careful. The best way probably is to, I would say the two major things that you can check for a tech guy. First, anybody around, and your friends or family has a tech guy they've been using for many years. That could be an interesting idea because you know that somebody used that person for a while. Another thing that I would ask, how long have you been doing this exactly? Okay. I'm at 17 years now and counting. Tech guys say, oh, I started last year. Probably not a good tech guy. I'm sorry. The other thing is, finding a tech guy that when you call the phone, it's like, yeah, hello. Yeah, hello. What the hell is that? Do you have a computer, like a tech name or something? Mine is French. It's Atelier Informatique. So when I answer, it's like, bonjour. Atelier Informatique, bonjour. It's professional. It's a company that's answering. It's not Joe Blow that just doesn't know. And it's like, yeah, hello. Oh, yeah, maybe your computer is like, okay, be careful of the tech guys. A lot of bad tech guys out there. Can tell you that. That's for sure. That's for sure. Okay, Android phone questions. Android phone questions. And questions are from Scott. That is in Illinois in the United States. And Scott asks basically the following questions about Android. So basically, first question that he's got is, what's rooting? He says, a friend of mine said you should root your Galaxy S6 phone. And he says, so what is rooting exactly? So basically, Routing is a process that will help the users of a smartphone, a tablet, or any device running Android to attain really high privilege control. When you are in Android, in regular Android, you are basically not an admin in that system. In that system, you're just a user. And so you have access to certain features, to certain options, but you're not allowed to do what you want, everything you want. You're not allowed to go into the system and change and tweak stuff, except through the regular control panel. When you root your phone, you're actually giving yourself an unblocked access at everything in the phone. You can tweak, you can actually change properties and programs and stuff that you would not be able to do if you did not do it. If you were not rooting your phone. So that means some programs or certain features might be only accessible through rooting. The rooting process is a little different from a lot of phones, but usually it involves taking your phone, plugging on a PC, and of course using the software to kind of unlock and reinstall the Android OS in a certain way. So basically, it will just remove all the limitations that were there on your machine. Now, I'm gotta say one thing about rooting. Rooting also induces in your Android device a security problem. So that means if you root your phone, you can do more, so as all the apps. That means if you are ever infected and your phone is rooted, you can suffer much more problems than if your phone is not, because it has access to everything. It's kind of an equivalent of, I would say, jailbreaking an Apple product. But it's different. Jailbreaking is a bypass of the options of Apple's devices. Rooting is you're still in the devices in the same operations of the device. It's just that you have now attained the privilege to do what you want. So that's pretty much it. And so there are things, for example, I've got here a device that is a radio device, and there's a specific driver you need to install for that to work. Now on my Galaxy S7, I don't need any special things for it to work, but on older phones and older operating systems of Android, to have that working and install that driver, I need to root the device in order to install the driver, because that driver will not work on non-rooted devices, except for the latest Marshmallow. Then you say, you've got an Android TV box, and it's running KitKat 4.4. Bought it on eBay from one of those Chinese vendors. It works well, but I would like to upgrade it to maybe Lollipop 5 or Marshmallow 6. Any way of doing this? I've been going to the systems and trying the system updates, and it says it's up to date. Chances are you're stuck at 4.4 forever. And the reason is simple. It's that these devices are often, they're kind of bootleg devices. And the fact that they're kind of bootleg devices means that they are tweaked to work with the hardware that you got. It's not made for, working at basically, with other operating systems, because you need that same tweaking of, Lollipop or Marshmallow. So for most of them, the upgrade will not be possible. So you're probably stuck at 4.4 and will never be able to upgrade. That's for sure. And the last question you got, Facebook notifications drives me crazy. I'm in a messenger group where everybody's posting, and it's really making me crazy on my Android phone because it's always ringing, telling me there's some new post. I've disabled notifications, but I still get them. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I've been in the same situation. Where you need to fix that is go into Facebook directly with a PC or a tablet or a device. When you'll end the conversation, you can right-click the conversation and say that you want it to stay quiet. That means you're not out of the group, but you're in a conversation where unless you click and go see what's happening, you don't get any more notifications that people are actually interacting in it. I did that on several groups because I've maybe 3 or 4 groups going on of conversations. And when I got my Galaxy S7 phone and installed Messenger, it started going crazy because it was like ding, ding, ding. It's like, what the hell is that? And I started looking, and it was everybody that was messaging me through the app. So you just go to the Facebook directly, and you just say, hey, keep quiet. And you'll see you'll stop receiving notifications, but it lets you see the conversation. When you want to go back in, you just click the conversation and you see everything that's happening. You see all the posts. It's just that it won't bother you through your phone anymore. So hope that this answers your question. Another question from Frank once again. Frank says, hey, sorry, second question. Hope it's not too much. I want to know, who do you think is the best brand of PC? What's the best PC maker? Do you have a favorite PC maker? What's your opinion on this? So HP, Dell, Toshiba, Acer, Lenovo, Asus, Alienware, Vaio, whatever. I don't have a favorite in here. I do not have a favorite at all. I've been buying Toshiba laptops for a while because I've always had great service and everything with that. But honestly, I don't have a favorite. Lenovo seems to be making pretty good quality, that said. But you know what? Whatever brand of laptop or computer you see in the store, enter your price tag, whatever brand it is, just get it. It's okay. There's I don't really have a favorite PC maker. And next time that I buy a computer, I don't know if Toshiba is not around anymore, because it could be, I might buy something else. Acer has been really improving. I would have said 5 years ago, I would have said don't buy Acer. It's the cheap laptops. Today, they're actually really nice. There's some extremely cool laptops out of Acer. But you know what? Prices have gone up. The Acer laptops of today are more expensive. So, whatever you buy, the only thing I hate about some of them is all the crapware that's installed, pre-installed, like HP stuff, and, Toshiba's also bad. All the crapware, I like a clean computer with just Windows, not all the crap that they put on it. So whatever is the brand, they all got the good and the bad stuff. That's for sure. Then we have a question coming from, so we'll try to go and answer all the questions that I can today. This is from Isabel. Isabel says, here's the thing. Everybody's telling me I'm crazy because I'm scared of doing online stuff. So here's the question. Should you be scared to do online banking? Should you be scared to do online reservations? Because I'm planning vacation this summer. Would have been nice to do online booking. And finally, I see some nice stuff on eBay that I'd like to purchase. Should I be scared of eBay? Here's the thing. You're scared in general of anything that has to do with buying or using credit cards or using, something where you could lose money basically on the internet. Should you be scared of that? No. Should you be scared of any of that? Not at all, as long as you follow rules. Follow the rules that you will, you have to be careful. Follow the rules that if you buy something, online reservation, eBay, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. It is too good to be true. You got to be careful with that. But if you just go on, your banking site directly, you're careful with your computer. You don't have, infections on your computer every 5 minutes. You know what? It's fine. Computer's updated and all. It's fine. You can do some online. I've been doing online banking since I think the first time that my bank said, "Hey, you can do stuff on the internet now." Never had problems. Online reservations for hotel. Just make sure the hotel is a true and tried hotel that exists. Do a little search. Look at what people think of these places. And once you're there, and it's like, oh, okay, this is cool. I've done my reservation. Cool. It's perfectly correct as long as you're just careful. On eBay, it's fine as long as you make sure that what you buy is what you want. Make sure that the seller has sold a lot of stuff. I don't like sellers that sold only 5 items, because you still don't know if they're okay or not. But if a seller has sold 10,000 items, it's quite all right. Especially check the score of the seller. Sold 25,000 items and he's got 98.9% positive. Perfect. Above 95% means that the majority of people are happy. And you'll almost never have 100%, because there's always going to be someone somewhere that's not going to be happy about something that everybody else is happy about. So, don't worry too much about that. And yes, you should jump in and do it. If you're scared when you buy, why don't you have just a special credit card with a very small limit for what you do on the internet? So, that could be a good idea. If you have a high limit credit card, get yourself a smaller limit credit card and use that for the online banking stuff. And, if you get, if you lose money, at least you're losing only the small amount of that card instead of the huge amount of that you could, be losing from a big credit card. And quickly here, a last question that we'll be checking out. Tim Pritchard has a great idea here. Tim Pritchard saying that the Microsoft Store has good deals on signature PCs with no software. That's the cool thing about, signature PCs, because they have no crapware in them. Maryland Parker says, when you made me chuckle. When I got my Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge a few weeks ago, I kept getting notification beeps every 30 seconds, and it was driving me up the wall. I just knew there was a way to change it, and I looked high and low and finally found out how to change it to 15 minutes. But it honestly almost drove me nuts before I figured it out. I know how you felt. Oh, man. That was something. I got the phone. I just put Facebook and Messenger on. It was like, ding, 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 ding. What the hell is happening? Why is my phone doing this? On my iPhone, it keeps quiet. And you get the notification stuff, but it's like, everything's rather quiet there. But on the Android side, it was annoying. So last question here from our friend Thomas. Thomas says that he enjoys the shows, enjoys the videos. Thank you so much for what you do. Now, here's the question. He says he's a DOS guy. And a few of the questions he wants to know is does old DOS software run even with newer PCs? No, because there's no DOS in the newer PCs. So it won't run. In Windows 10, Windows 8, there's no DOS. And the second question, the question said, is the command line DOS? It sure looks like it. It looks like a DOS command line, yeah, but it's a command line. It's not a DOS. So basically, if you want to run DOS software, you can do so in another way, and it's called using DOSBox. DOSBox is a software that you install. It's an emulator of an old DOS machine. And so you install this on your computer, and you've got a real DOS machine, and you can run DOS games. You can run any old DOS software. Most of the old DOS stuff will work here. Last question that you have is concerning an old machine that you've got. It doesn't have any operating system right now. It's an old 386. Has a 100 megabyte hard drive. It all works, but I don't have DOS disks to boot it. Where could I buy or download DOS disks? You could get DOS disks for old machine on the internet. You can get image files and create DOS disks. So basically, if you have, now, that's the important thing, you need to have a computer with a disk drive, a floppy disk. I've got an old Pentium 4 here that I use for that. DOS ISO download. I'm just going to check. I remember of a website. Okay, just go to allbootdisks.com. And here, you've got DOS disks, 4, DOS 5, DOS 6, up to 6.22. And you even have boot disk for old Windows machines, like Windows 98 boot disks, Windows 95 boot disk, and so on. But you've got all the image files there. And what you can do with the ISO file is recreate with floppies on a machine that you have a floppy drive, the old DOS drive, boot disks, and you can actually install with these floppies. You'll be able to install DOS on that machine that has nothing right now. You'll be able to install the best on the 386 is to install DOS 6.22. Make sure that you there's a lot of tutorials on the internet about how it works, because make sure that you create it with extended memory and everything so that it works totally with your machine. You'll be able to use that machine as a DOS machine perfectly. So allbootdisks.com is the place to go for boot disks. Pretty amazing for that. Hey guys, this was Live Tech Show number 35 for Tuesday, May 31st, 2016. I haven't gone around to all the questions. There are a few questions that have come in while I was on the show. Andrew, Viper78, Viper the Bookman, you'll be the first to have questions answered next week. I'm sorry I don't have time to go to it because I have to prepare myself for Learn the Tech at 6 p.m. So tonight, Learn the Tech, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2200 hours UT. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence. I think, I prepared a little something not too heavy, just a little bit to talk about, where it comes from and where it's going. So basically, hope you can join in. Hope you enjoy the show. We're here every Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 1900 hours Universal Time. You can send your questions during the week at helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com. And of course, we try to answer every question. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you next week. And remember, Learn the Tech at 6 p.m. today. Take care all. And see you next week for our Live Tech Show. Bye-bye.